If it's Wednesday, you know what time it is. It's time to talk about your money. You know, during the pandemic, so many of us took a pause on our credit card payments in the hopes of doing something to salvage the state of affairs. Unfortunately, so many of those people are getting an unwelcome surprise when they look at their credit report. Joining us now is certified financial planner Bobbi Rebell. It's so good to see you, Bobbi. What exactly is going on here?
So first of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for talking about this really important issue that may catch a lot of people by surprise. The best intentions at the beginning of the pandemic a year ago, hard to believe, many credit card issuers and loan servicers offered people a little bit of a break. They could just put pause on their payments and they wouldn't put any penalties on, no late payments and so on. Here's the problem. What we're discovering is right now, many of the credit rating agencies, the ones that determine your credit score, did not get the message or did not have systems in place to implement this help that these credit card issuers and so on had given to people. And so we have a situation where people unknowingly had their credit scores dinged and they had no idea.
Okay, so just to recap, so to make sure I understand you correctly, credit card companies were helping folks like us, you know, give us a break. Companies like Experian and those other credit report agencies didn't get the memo. Is that what you're saying? Okay,
exactly.
So now,
in some cases. So basically, the credit card issuers said, we're putting a pause button, no late penalties, but when it got to the credit rating agencies, they didn't know that. They just thought people were late on their payments and then proceeded down that road. And that's a very serious thing.
It's a very serious thing. And for some of us, it's one of these, okay, so here we are. And if we were affected by this, what can we do?
Well, the first thing is to determine if you were affected by that. So you need to check your own credit score. You can do that for free at unwelcome.com and see what the situation is. You may be fine. Okay. So that's the good news. If you do have an impact, contact your lender and find out if they're the source of the problem. Maybe they can help you fix it. Then you can go ahead and contact the 3 credit bureaus. That is Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And if in fact they've reported it as late, you need to gather your evidence to dispute it. And I highly recommend you mail it in by certified mail and make sure to always keep a record for yourself.
I can tell you, I have had to do this myself. It is such a headache, but it is so worth it because it really does help your credit score. Speaking of which, if we talk broad strokes now about our credit reports, what really is going to have a huge impact? So if I miss one credit card payment, is that really going to alter my credit score?
Yeah, it's a really big deal because if you were even one payment 30 days late, that can take as much as 100 points off of your credit score. And it can also stay on your record for potentially 7 years.
Yes, that is that magic number, that magic number 7. So we talk about credit scores. Why does it matter? When will a credit score come up? Because I have to believe in this day and age where so many of us lost jobs or we took pay cuts, we're trying to reestablish our lives. Will the credit score come up? If so, in what fashion? And what should we do to prepare ourselves?
Well, unfortunately, it does come up and it is very important. First of all, what many people know is it will determine if you can get credit, how much credit you can get, what that is going to cost you, what your interest rate will be. So if you think you might be buying a home, that could be really important, but it can also be something that a potential landlord is going to check if you're moving into a new rental. It's something that a potential new employer might check. And so it's important to at least communicate with, let's say, a potential employer, why your credit score is lower if that's a situation you get yourself in. And there's a lot of things you can do also that can help improve your credit score.
What are some of those things that we can do help improve our credit score? Because I think, you mentioned rentals. Some folks are thinking about moving or have to move and may not realize, oh my gosh, that I have this MAR on my credit report. What am I going to tell my future landlord? So what can we do to improve the credit score?
Exactly. And this is why it's so important that we're talking about this here, because as I mentioned, it is the late payments that are the most important thing to get back on track with. So I highly recommend that everybody set up a system to automate your payments on your credit card and any other bills you have, frankly. But when it comes to the credit card, you can use an app. I personally like Tally, and you can learn about that at Meet Tally. And they will not only automate your payments, but they will figure figure out the most efficient way to pay those credit card bills. And that can be something that can really benefit you, because if you start getting back on track, that's going to work to improve your credit score. You can also, of course, use less of your available credit. That's called your utilization rate. And also be careful. Don't be so quick to cancel credit cards if you pay them off, because the longer you have a credit card, that's also going to be something that's going to help your credit score. So those are a few things that you can do. And hopefully everyone will find out if they have a problem and find solutions and get back on track.
Checking that credit score the minute I get off the air. Bobbi Rebell, thank you so much for your wisdom, your tips, and your insight. If you want to subscribe to Bobbi's newsletter, which I highly recommend, go to her website, BobbiRebell2ls.com. Thanks so much, Bobbi.
Thank you so much for having me.